another episode of The Proud Skill Worker. Today we're talking with Trevino Gay. Trevino, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
So how we kick these shows off here in the beginning, Trevino, is I always like to ask, how'd you get into the trades? How did this become a career path for you?
I started out working with electronics. I was working with security systems and fire alarm systems. What I was doing was running cable, pulling wire. I was at a warehouse one day and we saw a maintenance tech. He was doing his job, and what he was doing looked really interesting. And so I found out a little bit about what he was doing. His job was what I found out a lot more interesting than what I was doing, dealing more with electronics than I was dealing with at the time. So I made the switch to maintenance.
Since you've made that switch, so it sounds like you went from kind of low voltage, pulling lines, setting in CCTV and some fire stuff, fire extinguisher, fire suppression systems. When you made the switch into maintenance, what was the biggest challenge for you that you saw at that moment, and then as you've continued your career?
The biggest challenge for me was dealing with more complex systems. Like you said, I started out doing low voltage, working as a maintenance technician. You have to deal with a variety of different type of electronics and circuits, and it's a lot that you get to work with, a lot more that you get to put your hands on, a lot more tools that you get to use to work with. So it's a lot more interesting.
Where are you from, Trevino? Where's home for you?
Home for me is Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, where are you currently sitting right now?
Right now, I'm in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
All right. Tell me a little bit about how you got from Green Bay or from Atlanta to Green Bay. Tell me that.
I found out about Skillwork at the beginning of 2022, coming off the end of the pandemic, so everything was starting to open back up. A recruiter called me one day and was telling me about a great opportunity he has, and I took a test. I interviewed with one company up here, and next thing I know, I was on my way up here.
Smooth like that. That's quick. How's it been traveling? I mean, how has it been? I mean, that's a big culture change. That's a demographic. I mean, you are moving out of Atlanta to Green Bay. I mean, there's no similarities between those two environments. Let's just call it what it is. How's that been for you?
It's been great. It's been great. I think it teaches you intangible skills that you can't get by not traveling. Having to go somewhere else and join another maintenance team and learn how they work, and you also have to travel and figure out where you're going to stay and where you're going to eat and things like that. I think it gives you it makes you well-rounded as a worker.
That's great. Do some of those soft skills that you just talked about, I mean, just life skills that you're using, have you started to apply some of those even in your maintenance roles? I mean, have you been able to apply some of that, like just tenacity and the ability to go, oh yeah, I have to think outside of the box and solve this problem? Have you started to see any of those skills in your own life evolve into moving your maintenance career forward?
Definitely. I've seen it to where, let's say I'm going to make a repair, whereas when I first started out, I would be nervous. I wouldn't want to take the machine apart. But now it's like I just throw my entire toolbox at it until I figure out what the problem is. And I try to fix it because I know I can put it back together. So whatever it is, if I take it apart, I put it right back together.
And that confidence that you have from when you got on site to where you are now, what is it that drives you to build that confidence, build those skill sets? What is it driving you every day, Trevino?
What drives me every day is being surrounded by a team of people who have the same goals as you. When you arrive into work and a couple of people got there early and they're already working, and it's not hard to get up to go to work when you're doing something that you're passionate about.
What is it? What's your greatest joy as a maintenance mechanic? I mean, how did you get to be passionate about that? I mean, I know sometimes it's hard to explain like what drives your passion, but what's your greatest joy in your job and your career right now?
Right now, I'll say after I make a repair and you get to see that whatever part you replaced, you get to see it's still working the next day when you come into work, and it makes you feel good, like you're contributing as part of a team.
So that moment after you throw your toolbox at it, you put it all back together, step back and go, Yeah, I did that. I fixed that.
It, especially after it's been a problem that's been going on for the entire day. And yes, you finally get to step back and say the machine is running, it looks beautiful, and everybody's happy.
That's a good sound. What is that? It's an operational machine, and I like it.
Yes, yes.
What are you doing there to ensure that you're growing your skills? I mean, you'd said from day one you walked in a little gun shy, a little nervous to take apart a machine. I mean, what's happened then to you where you're able to grow those skills and just go, I'm ripping this machine apart?
I would say the only difference between a good maintenance tech and one that's not so good is the good guys. They're consistent. They don't give up, and they just go to work every day and get better every day. And over time, eventually, you learn so much knowledge that you're the guy that everybody goes to ask questions. So just remaining consistent and trying to learn something new every day.
And you'd mentioned sometimes it's nice to come into work and see a couple guys on your crew already at work, getting going, getting at it. Are you on a small, a large, medium-sized maintenance team? How would you describe that maintenance team?
I would describe this maintenance team as pretty large, and my supervisor now he's a ex-military guy, so he's always at work 30 minutes early, and yeah, so that just motivates me to want to come into work early and do good.
That's that's great. I think it's really impressive when you find leadership and when you find leaders like that who are willing to walk that walk with you. Like, hey, I need you here. I'm gonna be here a little bit before you to show you that the value in you being here is not something they overlook. So I think that you hit it. Like he wants you there. He's gonna be there with you.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Once you knowing that you got a guy that he's gonna work as hard as you, or he might have some answers. You guys might be able to come together to figure out a problem, and working as a team is definitely beneficial.
For sure. As you're getting into those moments where you get to work as a team, what have you found in a large maintenance team? Are people usually pretty receptive to train you and to train new employees or to train people in what they know, or do you think people are withholding knowledge? I mean, we hear a lot that the people aren't willing to share their job secrets or they don't want to help others. Do you feel that on the ground floor? Like, is that real?
If people are withholding knowledge, it's probably because they either don't know or they're trying to figure something out. But yeah, a lot of the times, if you run into a problem you haven't seen before, somebody else has probably seen that problem,
Mm-hmm.
or they have a suggestion to how to fix it. So it doesn't hurt to try. Um, Sometimes you'll run into problems like that where you're gonna have to try to think outside the box. Yeah, it's definitely good to have guys who specialize in different things come together and put those skills together.
Yeah, absolutely. If you were able to talk with somebody today, just to give them some tips and tricks and things that you've learned, what is it that you think you would tell people about effective troubleshooting methods and how you've grown in that?
Okay, so what I would tell people about effective troubleshooting methods are definitely to have a process to use, or order of steps when you want to troubleshoot. When you go to a machine, you want to read the manuals, the owner's manual and the parts manual. You want to watch the machine while it's running to see how it's supposed to run when it's in good condition, and then you want to isolate the problem. Whenever you figure out what it is, isolate the problem and look at things that make sense. Think to yourself, what makes sense to me? Why this machine wouldn't work?
Yeah. Yeah. Think small.
Right.
No, I love it. So this is the part of the show that I'm most passionate about, Trevino. This is that part of the show. I like to open it up right here for you. We've answered all the questions that we have from our actual skill workers in the field, but this is the last question I like to ask people is if you had 5, 10 minutes, however long, to just tell everybody in your position across the world, across the country, one piece of advice, one thing that you just wish people could get their head around that you feel like would change the industry, something from Trevino that you just go, man, if all of us were doing this, it'd be great. What is that one thing you would say?
I would say if there's one thing that I could give to all of the maintenance guys is I want to say show up to work. What I mean by that is there's a lot of opportunities out here, and a lot of people aren't taking advantage of those opportunities.
Man, I'm curious to know, when you say show up to work, is that in the physical sense, like actually get your body there? Or are you talking a little bit about, even when you are there, make sure you're present and you're on site and you want to be there? Like, what is that? When you say that, what are you actually talking about?
Well, there's a shortage of maintenance guys. There's not a
Mm-hmm.
lot of guys who necessarily know how to get into this field. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there needs to be like more of a curriculum in high schools, or maybe more so at junior colleges, to get people involved more in the trades.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree with that. We spent every bit of 2.5 decades telling everybody they need a degree. And then we wonder why nobody is going into the trades. That's a byproduct that we here at Skillwork, we're trying to fix that. As you know, I mean, the reality of the matter is, Trevino, and you know this, we need people to dedicate back to the trades, and we need people to dedicate back to building this country from a true blue collar perspective. And I appreciate you so much for saying that, for being willing to acknowledge, hey, this is a deeper issue. It's not just a location by location issue. We need the people to learn the skill set at a younger age than they are right now.
Yeah, you just said it. Everything right there. I wish that I would have learned when I was at a younger younger age. I think there's a lot of good that can come out of more people learning how to do things like this.
Yeah. And I think the challenge and the opportunity that you described, that you and myself and everybody who's on this podcast and everybody who watches this podcast have, is we now get to be that voice. We get to tell people who are 17, 18, 19 years old in our life, hey, this is a great career path. This is something to do. We get to tell people who are lost and stranded in their mid-20s, I don't know what to do with my life. Well, here's a career path for you. We get to be that advocate now, which is awesome. It's just an awesome thing. Like you said, this transition from being a wire puller in the warehouse that you described to this maintenance career has been, I'm guessing, huge in your life. I mean, you left Atlanta and now you're in Green Bay. So you didn't do that because you were bored one day. You did that because you saw a career trajectory and improvement on your life.
Oh yes, definitely. Skillwork gave me an opportunity to improve myself, and I'm grateful for that. Grateful.
We're so happy to have you. We're so happy to have everybody who's watching, everybody who's listening, everybody who's viewing us across all of our platforms. My challenge to everybody here, as Trevino mentioned, is encourage the trades, drive the trades, and really just demand that the trades grow. This is a problem that we can all fix, but it's going to take time. Trevino, thank you so much for being on the show today. A huge thank you to everybody who's listening. Thank you. Please subscribe, listen, and if you want to be a guest on the show and you have experience in the industry, if you have experience in the trades, leave us a comment, go to our website, email me directly. I'm on there. We'd love to talk with you guys. Everybody, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.